Buenas noches.
Hola.
Hola, hola. Buenas
Hola.
noches. All
Oh,
right.
Rod, you did make it, Rod. Leslie, this is Leslie.
Hi.
She's to my left, but I'm not sure about you guys. Rod is my boss.
Oh,
So
Pepe.
I was hoping he could make it, but he had stuff going on tonight.
Perfect.
So
Nice to meet you, Rod.
Mr. Meath, Rod,
Mr.
everyone.
Meat. Okay, very good. And Ruby, how are you, Ruby? I see you. ¿Cómo estás?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Excelente. And Melissa y mamá.
Yeah.
Mia. ¿Cómo están ustedes?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
They're being
thank you.
shy, Leslie. They're being shy.
I know.
My
They're being
goodness.
so shy. Maybe if you were starting out talking to them, then they wouldn't be shy. I don't know.
Hard to know.
Yeah. Brian Court, hola, buenas noches.
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Ole.
Muy bien, gracias. Excelente. Well, looks like some other people are coming in. I am Leslie Foster, and I'm speaking to you tonight from Colorado, but I have strong Santa Barbara connections. I went to Westmont, and my son is a freshman at Westmont College. We just dropped him off, and I was just there a couple of weeks ago for Parents Weekend. So fantastic. And I went to Westmont with a person, Brian Court. So I don't know if you're the same one or not. You can let me know.
I was just going to say, Leslie, you look very, very familiar. You played volleyball, right?
Yeah. I thought so.
Oh,
that's crazy.
My goodness.
That's fantastic.
That is hilarious.
That
It's only been, let's see, it's only been 24 years.
20, yeah, let's not talk about that. It's only been 24 years, but as I was just on campus and in Santa Barbara last weekend, it just felt like no time had passed. So you all live in a beautiful, beautiful place in Santa Barbara.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, here, I'm going to start my video. So I played basketball last night.
Oh no!
I took a shiner. That's not from Kennan. She doesn't beat me, but so good to see you.
You too, as well. All right.
You're in Denver?
Yeah, we are. Well, outside of Denver, in between Denver and Boulder. Yep.
Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making time tonight to all of you to join. Miss Bentley, or Sarah, I don't know what you prefer to be called tonight.
Senora.
Okay, Senora Bentley and I have had a fantastic time just kind of dreaming and thinking and planning what this trip may be like. And so I just want to start off because this is a small group. If you guys want to unmute yourselves, because she knows who you are, but I don't. So if you just want to introduce yourselves, you can do it in Spanish or English. The students, Miss Bentley, Senora won't grade you tonight, and neither will I. But just go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe like a top question you have. I'm going to share a slide presentation and go through, probably answer a lot of your questions and but answer questions along the way tonight. So go ahead, Mr. Meath.
Okay. Hola.
Hola.
Estoy señor Meath. Soy director de la escuela. Yes, am I? Is that my title? Is that what they say? I hear that sometimes. No tengo preguntas ahora. Yeah, but happy to listen in. Glad to see all you guys here tonight.
All right, excellent. Well, I want this to be interactive tonight. So whoever has questions, I love interruptions, being interrupted. So go ahead and interrupt me with your questions tonight. All right, Ruby.
Hola, me llamo Ruby. I'm just gonna switch to English. I'm in 12th grade and just generally interested in the trip. Just a question I have is like, how long will we be in Costa Rica and what will be the structure of that as far as the May dates? Yeah.
Great question, Ruby. We're going to talk about the itinerary and go through the activities, and it's going to be roughly around 2 weeks, the triad program. And Sarah or Senora and Mr. Mead, if there are certain Providence High School things that you want to interject about the triad program, by all means do it. So we want to make sure that we're weaving both together and it's a good fit. All right, Melissa, or no, Mia. Is it Mia?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm Mia. I'm a senior. And my question was kind of just the same as Ruby's, but just like how long the whole time span was that we're there. And another question I had was, is it all like fluent speaking in Spanish, or would there be like times to like speak in English?
Good question. I'm going to talk about that specifically in our slides tonight. Okay.
Thank
Great
you.
question. Yeah. And Melissa, do you have any top of the mind questions right now? Just so I can be taking note and make sure I answer them all.
I think Mia has a good idea of what she's, curious about, and we've talked about it, so I'll let her lead that.
Perfect. Okay. And Brian. Oh, maybe stepped away. Okay, we'll jump down to Lori. Hola, Lori.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lori. I'm Malia's mom. Malia's in 11th grade.
Okay.
She's babysitting right now, so I am taking notes for her.
Perfect.
Yes.
Excellent. And I'm recording this too.
Oh, good.
So I'll send out the recording that you can share with her or whatever. Watch it on double time. Double speed.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. And Jeff, hola.
Hola.
So Jeff, who is your son or daughter and their grade?
I am Alexa's daughter. She's a junior.
Okay.
And I was just texting her to let her know that there were some other students on the call as well. She is considering the trip, and I am encouraging the trip.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I want to answer students' questions and parents' questions and teachers' questions, directors' questions. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to start my screen, share my screen here. And Sarah, if there's anything you want to say while I'm getting my screen set up, that'd be great. If not,
sure, really fast. My first study abroad experience was in Costa Rica as the first half of my senior year. I ended up in Costa Rica on a study abroad program through the recommendation of my Spanish teacher, and it changed my life. I don't know if I would have gone this route without that experience. So when I was looking into doing a trip for Triad, Costa Rica was the first place I wanted to seriously consider. And I came across the Common Ground International. Actually, years ago, I've been on Leslie's email list for like a million years. I don't remember even how I first came across, but I thought if I'm going to do a trip, it's going to be with a program like theirs. And once Leslie and I connected and we talked about like what my ideal itinerary would be, and then she explained what they normally do, it was like, yeah, this is like the dream trip, what I would love to do. So yeah, really thankful to have found you guys, Leslie, and thanks to you for taking the time to get all our questions answered and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, this is our passion, and my road was very similar as Senora's. I studied at Westmont, was Spanish major education, Spanish education, and part of our requirement at Westmont was to do a study abroad. And my first study abroad, my option was Costa Rica. And I fell in love with the country. I'm still in touch with my host family from 25 years ago. And that just really opened my eyes about what it meant to be a language educator and experience language through culture, not just learning about the language, but learning about the culture too. And I remember leaving that time in Costa Rica. I was down there, extended my trip to 8 months, and thinking, I've got to figure out a way to make Costa Rica part of my future career and whatever I do. And here we are 23 years later, still going to Costa Rica. And my husband and I started our company, Common Ground. I'll explain a little bit about that. But our first trip to Costa Rica doing an immersion program was in 2002. And we've only taken 1 year off, and that was 2020, the year of 2020 during the beginning of the pandemic. So it is an honor to share my passion with you all Whether it works out with you guys or not, I just really encourage you to find ways to get out into culture and language and explore and be adventurous, because it's easy to get stuck in our comfort zones and get used to what we're comfortable with, right? So as students and as parents, just to get out there. All right, so I'm going to start off. Can everyone see my screen?
Jesse.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I already asked top of your mind questions. I'm going to reiterate, interrupt me tonight with your questions and I'll answer them. But this is for the students. I'm going to put you on the spot. So, ¿por qué quieren? I'm going to erase the aprender and just put mejorar to español. So why do you want to improve your Spanish? What is the why behind it? Anyone want to go give it a shot? Maybe Senora has a dom parim marim pingüe to get.
Oh, I will call on them. I have no problem.
Okay,
Ruby,
okay.
por favor. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
Ok, me encanta español, es muy importante a mí porque es, I'm trying to think of how I would say this. Like, es la calle de conexión y, I don't know, conversation, just connecting with other people is through language is powerful.
Perfect. I love that, Ruby. You started in Spanish and then you struggled a little bit and jumped in English, but you still were communicative. You got your point across. Thanks for sharing. That's fantastic. All right, Mia, what about you? ¿Por qué quieres mejorar tu español?
Yo quiero la lengua de español porque me gusta oír la lengua y la música y la cultura en general es muy interesante for me.
All right, excellent. And I saw that Kiersey, that's your daughter, Brian. Okay, got it. Kiersey, you're on. All right. Why do you want to mejorar, improve your Spanish?
Porque yo trabajo con mis amigos y solamente hablo español y es no fácil hablar con ellos. So.
Perfecto. Muy bien, muy bien. Well, what we are seeing, and Senora, I'm seeing this in my kids. I have 3 kids, and in their friends in their high schools, and as we work with high schoolers across the nation, that the need for Spanish in their future careers is really important. And so oftentimes, like I have a daughter that's a junior that thinks she wants to go into nursing. So she's participated in our medical Spanish immersion trips this summer, because her drive, her why for improving her Spanish is because she wants to go into healthcare. And at least in Colorado, and I know in California too, there's a huge need for Spanish, being able to communicate with your patients as they're struggling with symptoms and things like that. So to the parents, okay, is there any use for Spanish in your daily lives or interactions in your career or relationships or volunteer? No? Okay. Oh, Brian, go for it.
Well, yeah, I can say something. Let's see. Our company is going to do, I don't know, $40 million revenue this year, and half of that is in LATAM. And so from a business perspective, it's kind of a new frontier.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of undeveloped countries where there's lots of business opportunities. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. So I encourage you guys, thanks, Brian, for sharing that. I encourage high school students to think about, okay, Spanish immersion trip during this triad is incredible. It's often connected to a bigger why. So thinking about your future, you may not know what you want to do yet, but if you want to be engaged or involved in the community, volunteer or work-wise, Spanish is a good skill to have for sure. So be thinking about it. Next question for you guys. When you hear the word immersion, what does it mean? what images or adjectives or words pop into your mind with immersion?
I think like getting super like involved, like whether that be like with the culture or something. Like when I hear that, I just think of like getting involved and like being around that culture.
Mia, I love it. Super involved. Absolutely. Super involved. Okay. Anyone else?
I think just like a general commitment to practicing the language and like Mia said, like adopting the culture and kind of just leaving yourself open to learning and exploring new things.
Yeah, fantastic. And I see Angel or Angel just joined. Welcome. I'm Leslie Foster. Buenas noches. Angel, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself? Let me know what grade you're in and maybe why you're interested in this program.
Yeah, my name's Angel. I'm a senior and I've never been to Costa Rica before and I've kind of always wanted to. And also I feel like it'd be fun because I already kind of know Spanish. So
Yeah.
I just kind of would like to go.
Perfect. All right. Well, when I asked what does immersion mean, did any images come to your mind? I'm a visual person. So when I hear the word immersion, I think of one particular image, but
I
does
just think
anyone
of
else? What was
swimming,
that?
like swimming in the water, just like drowning is probably the wrong word, but swimming is a better word.
Yes.
Just being surrounded by and wet with the language.
Yes, that is the image that comes to my mind. Specifically, my kids, when they were younger, would go running, jump into a pool like cannonball style. And when you do that, nothing on your body is dry. And that is what this immersion program is you are fully surrounded, super involved, as Mia said, submerged into the language. And that is by music, by slang, by taste, by sound, by experiencing life, by tactile, using our 5 senses. That is what this immersion program is. And that is what Senora and I have been talking about. And that is when your language skills as students are able to soar on an immersion program like this. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about the components of immersion here. So just real quick, here's what when I asked that question, here's how past participants have defined immersion: 24/7 Spanish, being surrounded, as we talked about, swimming, as Dr. Mead said, or Mr. Mead, experiencing everything again, but through the filter of a new language or cultural perspective, and then having fun adventures and a meaningful experience. Senora, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, like agua is the first thing that comes into mind for me. Yeah, and just the chance to just get it out and get out of your comfort zone and maybe have a little something different that you could put on a college application. Those big experiences, I think, form us in deep ways. So
absolutely,
all agreed.
Yeah, we've written many college recommendation letters based off of these experiences in Costa Rica. So happy to help you with that. For parents too, some key factors when we look at programs and talk about programs, summer opportunities or triad programs. Of course, health and safety, we're going to talk about tonight. That's on top of everyone's mind. The atmosphere of where we're going, what is the town like, what are the host families like, the quality of the language instruction, the host families, adventure, and then it has to be all tied with fun, because that's where learning is able to happen, when you guys are thriving and having fun and being challenged too, I will say. So just a little bit about us. You guys heard, but we started Common Ground, our first immersion program, in 2001. I graduated from Westmont with Spanish. I started teaching medical Spanish right away at the University of Colorado Med School. And then eventually started teaching teachers that needed to learn Spanish in order to get through parent-teacher conferences. And then working with business owners that work in LATAM, like Brian said, that needed business Spanish. And so working with industry, training them Spanish so they could use it as a skill to grow their businesses or serve their patients, serve their families if they're teachers. All along, we have 3 kids, and we have done our immersion programs with our kids when they were in utero and diapers and everything. So our kids are like our litmus test. Is this program safe? Well, I would say yes. Our kids have done it at all stages of life with us. And we have our mission at Common Ground is impacting communities through language. And we get to share that mission with you guys. If you guys participate in this program, you get to have a part in that mission of the communities you're going to impact through your experience and through your learning language. So, and in the future as well. So a little bit about that. The objective of this program is to give you guys opportunity to develop linguistically and culturally, and to prepare you to be ready for a global marketplace and hopefully a bilingual future. Okay, so there are three main elements of how this program is a deep, super involved, as Mia said, immersion program. And that is through Spanish classes, not taught by Senora or myself, but we have Costa Rican teachers that teach at our language school there. And there's about, in 1 week's time, 15 hours of Spanish classes. So Senora, 15 hours, how many weeks of high school Spanish would that be?
Oh, I need Mr. Meath to do that kind of math. But yeah, I only really get them like 40 minutes a day.
That's like
so
4 weeks probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is opportunity for tremendous growth just in that alone. However, that 15 weeks is compounded when we go and do our adventures, because you are zip lining and going through the rainforest and learning about the flora and fauna with local guides. So you're learning all that language about habitats and ecosystems, everything in Spanish. Eating your meals with the locals in Spanish. And then it's even compounded more when you are living with host families and you're experiencing typical life in Costa Rica. Hearing, your host brother, sister, how they form sentences, what their slang words are, things like that. So there is a lot of Spanish learning that's happening through just real life experiences. So these are the three program elements of how we kind of define this immersion program. We're going to go through each program element, but I want to pause. And if there's any top of the mind questions right now before we jump into these three. You can use the chat or unmute yourself, either way. Okay, I'm going to keep going. You guys interrupt me. So to Ruby's original question, what is the general itinerary? So this program is broken up into three big parts. The first, you arrive into Costa Rica, and the first part is La Playa, the beach. Okay, so we go to Manuel Antonio National Park. It was the first national park established in Costa Rica. Have any of you ever been to Costa Rica before? Okay, so Lori has, and Senora. Anyone else? No. Okay. So the first national park established in Costa Rica in 1972. And this is where, when you see pictures of sloths and monkeys, spider monkeys, some boa constrictors, okay, big old spiders, things like that, we get to go into this national park with a guide. And then there's also a lot, you guys, Santa Barbara, used to surfing and beach life and stuff like that, but beach jungle life is a little bit different. So this kind of the first 2 days on the Pacific coast, with a guide doing national park stuff, kind of a slower entry into immersion. So you're speaking Spanish, you're learning from the guide, and from Senora too is there to help you. You're tasting the local food and getting used to it. And then the second part, let me jump back. Second part is in Santo Domingo. That is our home base. That is where our language school is established, where all our host families are, and all our cultural activities. So if you've been to, Lori, you've been to Costa Rica, you probably don't know about Santo Domingo, right? Because it's not a tourist hotspot. Intentionally, we've chosen to establish our programs kind of off the beaten path in a typical lifestyle town, so that there's not a lot of English speaking opportunities, and participants can experience typical lifestyle in Costa Rica. I should say that we have programs in Santo Domingo 3 to 4 times, probably about 6 months out of the year. So it's not a new location for us. We've been there for several years, and we have continual programs going on down there. So host families are fantastic, and cultural activities and things like that. And then part 3, Senora, have you been to Volcan Arenal?
I have. We went a
Okay.
couple of years ago.
There
Yeah.
we go. So part 3. And what was your favorite part about going to Arenal, the volcano Arenal?
Oh, well, for us, I mean, the national park and the hiking is amazing. The trees and the way they intertwine, it's just amazing. And all the, but for me, we actually have friends that live in San Jose, but have like a vacation home, you know, just in the middle of this field and near the like 10 minutes from the actual like national park over there. And so we got to stay in their place. And
Yeah.
so for us it's like a little different, off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And we did some hot springs while we were there.
Yeah,
That
so
was-
I was going to say, when people
yeah.
think of Costa Rica, they think of the beach and the volcanoes. We have a bunch, you know, both those as far as his experience, but the volcano is kind of like the adventure pack, action packed part, where there's zip lining tour included in there, a waterfall rappel, hanging bridges, national parks. There's a wonderful waterfall hike. And hot springs, maybe the same hot springs that Senora went to. So it's very scenic and beautiful. I'm going to show you pictures, but a little bit about Costa Rica for the students. Where is Costa Rica? Where is it? Geography. Ruby, Mia, Kiersey, Ángel. ¿Dónde está Costa Rica?
El sur de America,
Okay.
South America, Central.
Yeah, I saw
Central
America.
America.
Go up, up, up. Okay, Central America. Okay, any idea of what the bordering countries are?
I promise I taught them this, Leslie. I
Yeah,
promise.
over by
You
like
totally did. I just can't remember. Angel?
Angel, there was a
I
song.
I remember the song, not the bordering not countries though.
Okay. Oh, Ruby's thinking, her wheels
Yeah,
are turning.
Ruby's singing the song, I think.
Damn. Can't think of it.
You can't. Okay, so the northern bordering country is Nicaragua, and the southern bordering country is Panama. Oh, Senora singing the song. Okay, so those are the bordering countries. And Costa Rica is tiny. This is crazy. It is the size of Lake Michigan. That's how tiny this country is. Okay, and it is packed, biodiversity galore. And that is what is an attraction of going to Costa Rica, which takes us to, it is in Central America, which politically, historically has had kind of a tumultuous history, except for Costa Rica. It is is a democratic country. It's been has had a democracy for a long, long time, unlike Nicaragua to the north, and it receives 1.7 million tourists from North America and Canada every year. So they are well rehearsed in receiving tourists. Small, the size of Lake Michigan, which means it's really easy to get to the beach, to the volcano, to our home base, and pretty easy to travel around. And then since we've been there so long, we have some really long-standing relationships with the host families, our teachers, the language schools, and some volunteer organizations as well. So that is why we have established programs in Costa Rica. Let's jump into Santo Domingo. So Santo Domingo is a typical lifestyle town, as I said. It is the capital of Costa Rica is San Jose. I was about to ask you, but I realized it's on the slide. Okay. And the province, which is like the state, is Heredia. And the population is about 30,000 people. So Santa Barbara, what's the population around Santa Barbara? What do you think? Like 400,000, 500,000?
No one's jumping in. I think, are we like 80, 90,000?
Oh, okay.
Maybe if you include Goleta.
Yeah, I was gonna say
A little over, I don't know if you don't include Goleta.
Okay.
Mr. Meath might know. We'll let it go.
You don't know. Okay. So this is a small town. Okay. When we think about, in relation to everything else, small town, it's at 4,000 feet, which means it's perfect for growing coffee. That's like the elevation of all the coffee plantations in Costa Rica. And it's a very temperate climate. It's not too hot, not too cold. In May, it's actually fantastic. It's right at the cusp, ending the dry season, beginning in June, the wet season. So you're going to have great weather in May in Costa Rica. And like I said, it's not a typical town. So San Jose on the map, San Jose is the capital. Santo Domingo is just north of San Jose. It's about 30 minutes north of San Jose. So if you say to your friends, I'm going to Santo Domingo in Costa Rica, they'll be like, where in the heck is that? They won't know where it is, okay? Because it's not a tourist hotspot. Here is a Google map image of Santo Domingo. So if we zoom in a little bit further, it's a typical town. Maybe Senoritas taught you this, maybe not, I'm not quite sure. But typical towns in Latin America, in the town square, typically have 3 or 4 or 5 things. What are the typical things you're going to find in the town square in Latin America?
My seniors might know. We haven't, yeah. Yeah, Kiersey, we haven't done this yet. This is Spanish 3.
I'm a sophomore.
Okay, any idea? What?
A church.
A church, for sure. Okay, the church is right here at Calle Central 15, right there in that green square is a church. What else?
Like a market?
Market, okay. Market, but also the fruteria, which is where you buy fruteria, where you buy what? You guys are all muted. Fruit, okay. Carniceria, where you buy what?
Meat.
Okay, carne. The I was going to say pulperia, but that's a very Costa Rican term. The floristeria, where you buy flowers. Okay, so that's all in the center of town. And then something that's super central to Costa Rican culture. It's a sport. It's not basketball, Brian.
Yeah.
A soccer field.
Yeah, the soccer field. Okay. And why am I bringing this up? Because this town, Santo Domingo, is charming. And in the center of town is where you're going to find the soccer field, the fruteria, the carniceria, the supermercado, the church. And then the language school is just a few blocks off of town. So all of our host families live within this red square. And it's a very walkable town. Walking is like a main mode of transportation within this town. And so walking through the center of town to get to the language school. We'll talk about the safety and how they walk and all that kind of stuff. But most of host families live between a 2 to 15 minute walk to school. And you would live with close to a buddy. And so you walk in buddy pairs and meet Senora probably at the soccer field and then walk to language school together and living next to a friend. So that is the town layout. Here's just some sights of the town so you can kind of see what it looks like. Here's the fruteria and the verdureria. Okay. Here's the Mercado Central Municipal. This is the church in the center of town. This is on this side right here, you can barely see it, is the soccer fields. This is the high school. Is this what Providence High School looks like? This left-hand picture down here? Yeah, you're shaking your head. All right, this is the high school in Santo Domingo. We may have the opportunity to go visit. That would be fun to go visit a high school and see what it's like. And then I took this picture is hilarious because it is a modern town. There's Ubers and there's their version of Lyft. Okay. And there's public transportation, there's bicycles. And then it's also, as I said, in a coffee growing region. And so here is a carreta, okay, which is a oxen cart, oxen and cart. And this is what they use to transport coffee beans. And so occasionally you see this carreta going through the middle of town. So it's a great clash of like traditional Costa Rican culture and then modern culture as well. Any questions so far? No, I'm going to keep cruising along then. Host families, so they are so excited to share life with you. All of our host families go through like an orientation process about what it's like to host students from the United States. The age ranges you can see in these pictures vary. We have, grandparent ages to young families. Oftentimes it's multiple families, aunts and uncles and grandparents all living within the same block together. And then most of the host families are middle class, upper middle class families, and they live and work in San Jose, commute to San Jose. A lot of them work in technology. There's an IBM big facility close by. So pretty typical lifestyle, upper middle class families in Costa Rica standards. And then Senora and I were talking about this. Oftentimes we give you guys, students, the option whether you want to stay in a host family with a friend, an amigo, or by yourself. Students, what do you think the advantages is of staying by yourself with a host family?
I guess it just forces you to figure it out with Spanish.
Yes. There's not that temptation to speak English, right? With your buddy from Providence High School. What do you think is the advantage of staying with a friend?
I mean, it's just like a backup plan if you can't figure it out, and you just get to hang out together and share the experience. So
teamwork, right? Yeah, teamwork. You're on it, Ruby. You're on it. Okay. So, yeah, that's a choice for you guys to decide whether, if you can be disciplined and commit to that, if you're going to stay with a friend, that together you guys can commit to staying in Spanish or speaking in Spanish with the family, spending more time with the family than yourselves, holed up in your room or whatever. Or if you feel like, I don't have that discipline and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, I want to stay by myself with a host family. So, that's something to be thinking about. How do we select the families? Well, we have to like them, but that's not the only criteria. They have to be pleasant. Accommodations, they have to have like a private bedroom, and it's most likely a shared bathroom experience. We do background checks on all the families. So no criminal history, obviously safe animals and pets. And then pretty close to the language school, within a 5 to 15 minute walk with a buddy to the language school. I will also say that we have a full-time host family coordinator that grew up in Santo Domingo, currently lives in the town and works in the town. And so she has a really good relationship with the host family. She knows what's going on because it's a small town, and she does surprise visits to our host families. They often invite her over for dinner or coffee. So there's a constant relationship between, her name is Daniela, and the host family. So if during COVID, when it was at its peak in Costa Rica, and just after, when we were finally able to run programs, she would let us know, listen, this family is really struggling. They've had some, sickness in the family, so we're going to have to back off using them, of course. But if any of your past participants can send them encouraging words or letters, that would be great. So there's these really strong connections between Daniela. She's like our liaison between the host families and our participants. So questions so far about host families? Parents is usually when parents ask lots of questions about host families. No? Okay, interrupt me. So part of the registration form or process that you fill out is you let us know if you have any physical, things that we need to consider, if there's any dietary restrictions, if there's preferences for being in a host family with host siblings, kids or no kids, animals, pets, allergies to cats. You have a chance to tell us all that in your registration form. We have families that are able to accommodate to all different types of diets, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, all that kind of stuff. So that is not an issue at all. We just, the main thing is we need to know in the registration form so that we can host you. And then, as I already talked about, 1 to 2 students per host family. Oftentimes the host family experience is a life-changing experience, and it's a lifelong relationship or friendship that develops. Sarah, when you went to Costa Rica, did you experience the host family?
I did. I lived with
Yeah.
a host family, and I had a host sister kind of close to my age. But
Mhm.
in the end, I actually got really close to my host mom, and I'd like sit and stay up talking with her, and she was so patient with me. It was really special.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also had family friends that have family there, and they would pick me up on the weekends and take me actually close by in Coronado del Rio.
Oh yeah.
Another suburb. And so I got to experience some of that as well, and just really, really special.
Yeah, fantastic. Has anyone been a host student or have received an exchange student into their homes before? No? Okay. All right. Students, any questions about host families? Okay. We're gonna keep going. Language classes, here's just some pictures. So language classes are kind of small. Oftentimes the question that we get is how do you differentiate the classes? So this will be one test that you do not have to study for. Senora and I will say, do not study for this test. This is your language placement test. This will help us determine what level of class at language school you belong in. And so we just want to know what's in your head. What can you communicate right now? And so we can put you in the correct level and you can start growing and flourishing from there. So they're interactive Spanish classes. I am positive that Senora is a fantastic teacher and teaches a lot of grammar and rules and communicative strategies. And in Costa Rica, the focus is to get all what she's teaching you out of your head and produce it, start speaking and communicating. And so that is the focus, is on oral communication in Spanish. Classes are 3 hours a day with a little cafecito break, a little coffee break in between there. Okay, so you have an hour and a half class or an hour, 20 minutes, and then a 20-minute or 50-minute cafecito, and then you continue with classes. Oftentimes, you'll start off in a physical classroom, and then with explanation of, what you're practicing for that day or whatever. And then you'll go out into the town of Santo Domingo and interview store owners, speak with the locals and things like that. So there's an actual communication task that you have to complete during the class with your teacher. You don't go out on your own, but with your teacher. So that's a lot of fun. As I said, the focus is on communication, oral communication, and we do the written test, but there's also a brief little 5-minute interview too, to see, okay, what's your language level in your head versus what you can communicate, and then we place you in your class. And then you get a great certificate at the end. These are all the students holding up their certificate. Okay. All right. Some of the cultural activities that happen either in the morning or the afternoon is a salsa merengue dance class. Do you guys know how to dance salsa merengue? Senora says, poquitito. Okay. All right. Cumbia bachata also. We have 3 lovely host mothers that do cooking classes with the students. So learning how to cook the traditional dishes in Costa Rica. If there are any soccer players, these are just some activities we can do, some soccer games, things like that. There's a market tour. There's a fruit tasting tour as well. So those are just some of the cultural activities. There's also, and Senora knows about this, but it's called Toucan Rescue Ranch, and it's a rehab site for sloths and toucans and things like that. So we get to go up there and learn about their mission and vision and see how they're taking care of these tropical animals, which is a lot of fun. So this is all integrated into the program throughout the day. And then the adventures on the weekends. What are we doing on the adventures? The beach and the volcano. So zip lining and waterfall rappelling. Have you guys ever waterfall rappelled? Senora has, okay. Have you waterfall rappelled down a waterfall in Costa Rica? Okay. What about zip lining? Has anyone zip lined before? All right. So I see some parents. So this is just to show you a map. So Santo Domingo, our home base, the first weekend we take this highway right here. And this is on the Pacific side, Manuel Antonio. This is where we go. This is where the first national park was established. Here you can see pictures of the national park, like Las Iguanas. What's this in Spanish? I'm mute. Do you know what it is in Spanish?
If they remember the word for lazy, this will work out.
Lazy bear.
Is it perezoso?
Oh, you're so close. Yes, yes. Perezoso, yes.
Perezoso.
Uh-huh. Or sometimes they say oso, perezoso, literally a lazy bear. Good job. Okay. This is, what's this in Espanol? Halloween just happened. Araña. Okay. We have some.
Oh, I couldn't tell if it was a spider or like a different bug.
Oh no, it's a spider.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crocodiles, monkeys. These are the little squirrel monkeys. There's 5 species of monkeys that hopefully you will get the opportunity to see in Costa Rica. And the beach is just the beach is just fantastic. It's beautiful. So that's just some snapshots of what the beach looks like. Here is Volcan Arenal. So this is the second trip after being with your host family and doing that. The hot springs, the hanging bridges. There's the hanging bridges tours, a waterfall rappelling, some hiking. So just a little bit about kind of what's included in the program besides the day-to-day stuff. Senora and I will guide you, will prepare you before you get down to Costa Rica so that when you're in Costa Rica, you can focus on it, really enjoying the experience. So some of those lessons, there's an online course that you'll go through. They are about 8 different lessons that are about 10 minutes each. Stuff like how to pack and what to expect in my host family and different stages of culture shock. And am I going to, encounter culture shock and how am I going to deal with it? So that's what this online course. And then we'll have some 3 Zoom meetings like this to talk about some of that kind of stuff. The Spanish classes, host family. We're not going to do community service work, or there may be one day where we do something. Senora and I are still trying to figure that out. And then Manuel Antonio. And then there is a travel insurance policy that has a secondary medical coverage. So if anything were to happen in country, this secondary medical coverage would kick in. And then there is, I just got off another meeting with another high school program, and there is an option to do a cancel for any reason policy also. So if you feel like you want to purchase that extra insurance in case, I don't know, COVID comes up or you get sick beforehand or there's a family emergency, we will set you up with that as well. All right, I'm going to wrap up here soon because I know it's getting late. But here are some other things. I have a couple more slides, then we'll open up for questions and wrap up. And Senor, you can end it as well too. Lunches, flights, we'll do a group flight. Lunches, I would say it's between $5 to $7. You have breakfast and dinner with your host families. Okay, dinners while on excursion. So when we're at the beach and we're at the volcano, there's about 5 dinners to budget for. I'm sure lots of you guys, I don't know, but maybe you all are surfers, you don't need surf lessons, but if that's something that you want to do or just rent a board, that's something to plan. But other than that, other than souvenirs and some food and snacks, everything else is included in the program. So right now there's no COVID entry requirements in Costa Rica, and kind of our policy, or common ground policy, is that you will need to take a COVID test before you get to Costa Rica, so that just to ensure that we're not bringing COVID into a host family or into the language school, things like that. And then we can talk about this too, but we're a family-run business. You're not alone. Senora, she's going to be on the program with you. Why Travel with Common Ground? We prepare you beforehand. And as Senora said, She was looking for kind of like a study abroad program, but for high school students, that was modeled for high school students. So that's what this program is. So, Senora, what are their next steps if they're interested? Maybe you can speak about that.
Okay, so we have the dates coming up where juniors and seniors get to register first. If I remember right, that's the 28th of November, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor?
that's the Monday, right?
I have 28 in the brain. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that's
yeah,
right. And then the
pretty sure it's
30th.
Monday the 28th. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then 2 days later, the freshmen and sophomores will get
That's
a
right.
chance to register. So they do, you guys, juniors and seniors do have priority, although I'm feeling strong. We should be able to get all the people that interested, at least on the Zoom call, and others too that weren't able to make it tonight. And then, yeah, once you're registered with us and we've made that official on our end, then we'll make it official on Common Ground's side as well.
And it becomes official when there's that deposit payment, and then you'll get your next steps with the registration form and the pre-departure preparation. And then we break up the rest of the payments into a payment plan, 3 different payments. So so the date that they need to have is November 28th in their mind. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just take any last minute questions. And if you have to log off, that's absolutely fine. But I just want to thank you for joining me and letting me share our passion with you guys and this great program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. My only question is, are the times that we'll be all together like the different day trip excursions? And then will we just kind of come straight back to our host families afterwards?
You will be all together every day. Is that your question? So you'll have, when you're on your excursions, you'll be all together. When you're doing that middle section in Santo Domingo, the parte dos, you'll have breakfast with your host family. You'll meet the group at the language school or walk together at the language school and spend the whole day either doing cultural activities, tours, and Spanish classes. Then you'll go back home for dinner with your host family.
Great, thank you.
Good question.
This sounds odd, but can you like invite people over to eat with your host family? Have like a group dinner?
This Providence High School group dinner?
Well, if you were like going to your host families and be like, oh, do you want to come and eat dinner with us? Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's something that we can talk about. There is a communication, if you will, protocol with your host family. Just like, if you were speaking to your father, hey, Dad, can so-and-so come over for dinner? Same type of thing with your host family. Good question. What made you think about that, Kiersey?
Well, I don't know. Just I think about going home from school and being like, oh, do you want to eat dinner with us? Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the host families live together and a lot of them are related. So there's a lot of times where host families naturally end up having dinner together, meals together.
Oh,
yeah.
Also, would you need to bring like a wetsuit for surfing?
No, it is warm Pacific water. Yep. Good question.
I just had a question about like the cost again. How much is it like for like how much money do you bring for like renting the like surfboards and stuff? And like how many days would that be as well that you'd be doing that?
You'll have 2 days there's like a couple maybe 2 afternoons free to do surf lessons, and you can surf lessons or just renting a board if you already know how. I would budget like $50 for 2 days.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you the surfer, Mia? Do you like to surf?
No, I'm just wondering how to learn.
Oh, you want to learn? Okay. So it's really fun. I do it every year and I'm still a horrible surfer, Okay, but it's a $50 lesson. It's 4 hours. You have one surf instructor for 2 people. You're out in the water. It is fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is it Providence school only, or are there other schools that get mixed in at the same time?
Good question. Just Providence. Yeah, this May triad trip is just Providence. We have summer programs that are open to kids throughout the country that happen in June and July.
And back about the different things to budget for, we can send like a quick like overview of the slides too.
Yes.
Where she mentioned like the dinners and like the handful of other things that would be separate. Yeah, we can send like a little summary too. So
yeah.
So the people in your classes, if you were to be in the same class as people, they would all be from Providence?
Yep, you guys will be the only, at this point, the only group down there at the time.
Leslie, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
We're gonna duck out.
You're welcome. Senora, can you share my email with them?
Yeah.
Okay, if they
I'll
have
make
any
sure
questions,
everyone gets your contact.
yeah, you can reach out and let me know.
Yeah. Sounds like people are needing to get going. That's fine. And
Okay.
yeah, so if you guys think of something else, I can either pass it along to Leslie or you guys can get in contact with her and I'll send a little follow-up. How about that?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Great.
Oh, thank you so much for telling us all the details.
Thank you.
That's good to imagine.
Yeah. And what a surprise, Brian, to see you after all these years.
I know. That is hilarious.
Kiersey, your dad and I went to school together at Westmont.
He told me.
And I saw his
Yeah.
name in the waiting room, and I mentioned to Senora, I was like, I went to school with, he played basketball at Westmont. His name was
Aw.
Brian Court.
Small
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
That's so funny.
Now, but your last name was Bunchman, right?
Yes, that's a good memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
memory.
Yeah. Well, I was, because I saw the face, but I'm like, Foster is not lining up for me. But then it was like, that's why. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's really funny. Well, great to see you.
Great to
Thank
see
you so
as
much.
well. You're welcome, Kiersey. All right, Jeff, did you have any questions? May not be there.
Could be
Brian,
that
did
he-
you?
No, yeah, no, you answered them. I figured you would. I was going to ask how the host how the host families got qualified, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a question every parent was wondering, so
Yeah.
you addressed it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
thanks for coming, Brian. I'd love to have
Yeah.
Kiersey on the trip. She's such a gem and such a just go for it, you need that.
Yeah. No, well, I hope we can make it work. Yeah.
Yay.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be in touch.
All right.